Now, Erie's premier podcast. News about music, health, and what's happening. It's Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, sponsored by Erie Insurance.
Well, good morning. It is Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, sponsored by Erie Insurance. I'm high atop the Renaissance Building in downtown Erie. I got Sam looking back behind him, taking a look at what's going on behind us.
It is quite high up there, for sure.
It is.
We're okay, though, right? We're not going to fall out.
No, not at all.
Okay.
This month, we've been turning everything pink, including the fountain in Perry Square, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And today, we welcome Sarah Humphrey. She's the executive director of the Erie Cancer Wellness Center, located at 2212 West 15th Street in Erie. Welcome, Sarah. It's so nice to have you here.
Thanks, Nat. It's awesome to be here.
And also joining us, well-known musician in the 814. Don't look behind you, Sam, because it is you, my friend.
Okay.
Sam's James Taylor Tribute Band, which is called Steamroller, will be playing at the Warner Theater on Thursday, October 26th.
Right.
Proceeds will benefit WQLN.
Yep.
All for a great cause,
Yeah, how
too.
about that? Yeah.
So thank you both for coming on Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Well, you know,
to be here.
great. And so we all have been touched by cancer, Sarah.
Absolutely. The latest statistic is that 1 out of 2 Pennsylvanians will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. So I think you're right. Every single one of us has been touched by it.
And, you know, I can say, you know, while during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that several years ago, my sister, thank you, Sam, for helping her out, and my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. My sister Marcy, and you know, she found that lump by doing a self-breast examination. So important right now. Because she had a mammogram several months before that, everything was fine. And then next thing you know, this is going on. So, you know, self-breast examinations are extremely important. Right, Sarah?
Oh, for sure. And I was just telling a group of young Edinburgh students that it's never too early to start a self-breast exam as well. Many of the people that we see who come in to our center who've already been diagnosed with breast cancer have found it themselves because of doing self-breast exams. So very important to do them monthly.
Right. And you know, Sarah, I need to quote one of your participants at the Erie Cancer Wellness Center. She said ECWC is the greatest blessing.
Oh.
The people are earth angels. The programs are fabulous and very useful. And the best gift is friendship and laughter.
That's pretty powerful. And I think I know who said that. And yes, that's really what we're doing is building a community of people who've been impacted by cancer who can share that experience. And what a lot of people don't realize is when people come into our center, they may not necessarily talk about their cancer, but just being with other people who have been down that road
Right.
means a lot and is very powerful.
Sure it is. Tell us about your mission. Let's start with the mission, Sarah.
Absolutely. So our mission is to support those living with cancer and the people that love them with free of charge programs that support the mental, emotional, psychological side effects of cancer treatment. And we focus on non-medical support programs.
Sure. Let's talk about wellness and movement first.
Yeah. So, you know, we know, we're lucky here in Erie because we have wonderful institutions that treat cancer. But what we were missing was that non-medical support. You know, people suffer with side effects that can last months and even years after treatment ends. And we know that the more you move, both during treatment and after treatment, you have better outcomes. So for those people who have completed treatment of cancer, the more they move, the more active they stay, the more they move their muscles, their chance of recurrence decreases. And the people who are in active treatment, meaning chemotherapy or radiation, the more you move, you help the side effects of fatigue, balance issues, anxiety, and depression. So movement in general is very important. So we offer different types of wellness and movement programs that help those people. So gentle yogas, restorative yogas. We have some dance and movement programs, strength training, which is really important. So we have a beautiful facility that we renovated, and we have a large wellness space there that we can offer these types of programs.
So when you talk about movement, can people get involved in these programs in the evening hours as well as during the day?
Yes, so we do have evening programs, not as many as during the day because we are a small staff and we are growing our staff and growing volunteers to help us facilitate these evening programs. But yes, we offer a yoga in the evening, qigong in the evening. We have oncology or cancer massage in the evening, support groups in the evening. So we are definitely expanding our evening programs.
Let's go back. When did you form this nonprofit organization? It must be just a couple years old or less.
Yeah, so we've only been open a little over 1 year.
Wow.
It's been in the works. I developed these programs at the Regional Cancer Center back when that was around. And when that dissolved, again, the hospitals built their own cancer institutes, which are phenomenal, but we were missing this piece. So I started this process with a really wonderful supportive board of directors back in 2021. And then it took us about a year to get ready to go to open. And we opened in the fall of 2022. So just a year.
Exciting.
Oh, it's been really exciting. I've learned a lot along the way, let me tell you.
Where is the building? Where is the facility?
It's right off of Pittsburgh Avenue, just south of 12th Street.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's this special series and programs that you have going on. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so we run our programs quarterly, and many of our programs stay the same. Our exercise programs, our yoga, our support groups, but then every quarter we try to offer different types of programs. So, Nat, what you started off with talking about, where we have a program similar to the American Cancer Society's Look Good, Feel Better program.
Yes.
Which is no longer here. We call ours the Beautiful You, and we offer it quarterly, and it's just a fun time. You hear lots of laughter. We have volunteer hairstylists, makeup artists, nail technicians come in, and they work with the women who've lost their hair because of chemo, teaching them how to style a wig, style a scarf. When you go through chemotherapy, it can play havoc on your skin, on your nails.
Oh.
So, we have volunteers who love being there and will love working with our women. And, we have food, and it's just a really great time. So that's a quarterly event that we do.
Well, Look Good, Feel Better. Of course, I was involved in that when I was working for the American Cancer Society in the Shenandoah Valley. And these women would come in, and they were so depressed. Because women are very, how do I want to put it? They want to look their best, and regardless of what's going on with them, and they're fighting for their lives at this point, and then they lose all these different functions that they once had, and then their hair's falling out, and there's so many things that just
true. And cancer is tough. When you have heart disease, you don't see it on the outside so much. But with cancer, many times you can see somebody who's going through chemo because, again, they lose their hair, not just the hair on their head, they lose their eyebrows, their eyelashes, their arm hair.
Yes.
And it can, it can be tough on, we focus so much on our exterior selves, and we try not to focus that at the center. We really try to go within and peep people in the present moment. But that's obviously a big part of your life, and so it's a wonderful way to just make women. And I say women because it's mostly women that sign up, but just make them feel good a little bit, and have somebody put their makeup on. Who doesn't love that?
I remember the glasses.
That's right. Love having somebody do my makeup.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
and I just recall what a great feeling it was to make these women feel better about themselves.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. It's heartwarming for me. It's a privilege to go into work every day and meet these people who are, dealing with one of the toughest things that you're going to deal with.
Sure.
You seem like you have a real servant's heart, and that's kind of what you need for.
Oh, well, you know, a lot of people have said, oh, isn't it tough working with people with cancer? And I look at it as a privilege. You know, you're meeting somebody at the most vulnerable point in their life. And it's, like I said, it's a privilege
Right.
to do what we do.
You know, when this happened with my sister, and of course I was out of town at the time, and I wasn't working for the American Cancer Society. As a matter of fact, after she passed away, you know, she was in remission for about 6 months, Marcy was, and then it came back, and it was 4-stage bone cancer, and we started all over again with that. But you know, after she had passed, I thought to myself, if I can do anything, you know, I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. And then this job popped up for the American Cancer Society for a development director in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So I went through a month-long process with them and was hired. And I got to tell you something. You know, my sister died 10 days before her son got married. So we were really trying hard to make sure that, because she kept saying, I just want to live long enough to see my son get married. And that didn't happen. But, you know, we celebrated. We did what we should have done and would do. And that's what she wanted us to do. And we did. We married her son. And her son gave me the shoes that she was supposed to wear on that wedding day. And I'm going to tell you, you two, I pounded the pavement in those shoes for 3 years in her honor and her memory. I mean, like the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. I did that campaign. But you know, I would just, when I talked to somebody, and, you know, I did Relay for Life and all those other things in my portfolio. But I always would say, these are the shoes. I'm wearing these shoes. And of course, after 3 years, I got furloughed, and the shoes didn't look good after that.
Well, you know, it's important what you're saying, though, and you know leads me to when I decided to open this. It was very important for me to not only offer these services to people living with cancer, but their families.
Right.
Because just to your point, Nat, I mean, cancer has a ripple effect on the entire family, and you have to care for them as well. And so all of our programs are also free of charge for families, too.
And what I like is that when you were at the Niagara Network a couple of weeks ago talking about your services, you talked about a men's cancer support group. Talk more about that. That's important, too.
Oh, my gosh. It's actually tomorrow. And we were just talking today at the office. We have more and more men signing up now. It took us a while. You know, we offered the men's group at the beginning, and there were not a lot of takers. You know, it's women tend to be the ones to ask for support. But we finally got the men's group going, and it's great. We have, I think, 5 or 6 men, and it really gives them a safe space where they can come and express the emotions, maybe the fears, the anxieties that they have that they can't share with their partners or their families.
Right. And you know, so many people that I have known, loved, lost, those that are in remission, will tell me, you know, that first diagnosis when they tell you that you have cancer
turns your world upside
It turns your world. And I mean, I was just talking to a dear friend over the weekend who's in remission, and she said, Natalie, every day I think, is it, you know, I got a pain here, or this doesn't feel good. Is my cancer back? I mean, that's the kind of lifestyle. So these support services that you give are so important.
Yeah, and you know, people don't realize that. So one of our support groups is our survivorship support group, which is after treatment. So these people have completed treatment, they're in remission. It is the largest support group that we have because, to your point, you know, people feel you're never done with cancer. You know, it's always in the back of your head. You know, if you have a headache, oh my gosh, is it back? You know, if you have an ache in your bones, you know, it's just, it's so anxiety producing, this fear of recurrence. So that's something that we really work with our participants on and give them tools to deal with that anxiety and try to stay in the here and now.
You know, just this past weekend, Suzanne Summers, 76, she was a breast cancer survivor for 23 years. So she really, sorry that we had to see her go, but you know, that's another thing too. A lot of great research out there has helped people live longer lives. And there's so many therapies now that can be done. Do you talk to them about any of that at all while you're...
We do. So one of the programs that we offer, in addition to the wellness and the wig salon and the massage, is we have educational programming. So some people, they might not want to come to a yoga class, but they want to come and hear a physician speak on some of the latest topics in cancer care. So we have local oncology experts come in and give talks on different relevant topics. You know, we had a physician come in and talk about chemo brain, which is a very real side effect of treatment. We had a gynecologist come in and talk about sex intimacy and cancer, which is something people don't talk about. We, you know, genetics and cancer. So we really try to incorporate that educational component into our programming as well.
That's great. And the healing arts?
So healing arts, we have a really wonderful program. We have an art therapy program.
Nice.
So we have an art therapist who is certified in both art therapy and counseling. So she runs a children's group for us, which is really impactful because we have a lot of young people with advanced cancers. So these kids, you know something's going on in the home. They know mom or dad is sick, but they might not know how to express that.
Right.
But through art therapy, it gives them the tools to express that fear, that anxiety, that sadness. It's a really wonderful program. And then we also have art therapy for adults too, so for our own participants. And art therapy really isn't about the art per se, but it's using art as a way to express those emotions.
How you're feeling.
Yeah,
Sure.
we have healing arts. We hope to incorporate music therapy.
I was ready. I just looking over Sam right now. I'm like, music would be wonderful to incorporate into your programs
That's the
too.
truth, and that's become, on colleges all over the place. It's become a real sought after major these days.
It is.
So the field's growing.
And it's really fascinating how music alone, you know better than I, but can really change the synapses in your brain and affect your mood. And so we're looking at a program with our patients who are metastatic or stage 4 and how music might help them get through that.
Well, it's just, not cancer patients too, but like those with dementia, I've known.
Oh, yeah.
I would take my guitar to visit my aunt in one of the rehab centers, and she had dementia, but she remembered songs and she could sing them. She didn't remember who I was, but
Isn't
she
it
definitely,
amazing?
isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? That
Tony Bennett, we just lost Tony Bennett.
yes.
And he was totally together on stage, even though he was really battling dementia off stage. But when he'd get on stage, it's like he never forgot a lyric.
No, it
Right.
was
All those
incredible.
songs.
Isn't that something
Really
else?
something.
That
That indicates something too.
Oh, for sure. And it's really fascinating to me on how it really does work in the brain, So we really hope to incorporate music therapy as well. But then part of our healing arts is also the oncology massage that we offer, Reiki that we offer as well.
How about nutrition and education? Because I know that nutrition plays a very big role when somebody is diagnosed with cancer.
It really does. I mean, nutrition, 42% of cancers are preventable through lifestyle changes. So nutrition is not only important after a diagnosis, but before a diagnosis too. But like I said earlier, when somebody has completed treatment, nutrition is a big component of survivorship. We want to make sure people know how to eat healthy to support their longevity. So we have a dietitian come in, Karen Schneckel from AHN St. Vincent, who's an oncology certified dietitian. She comes in monthly and will do different topics. Last month, I think she did label reading. She'll talk to, a group about just different topics that are of importance. And then we'll even hang out after class and talk to people one-on-one about any, specific concerns that they have. So that's a really big component. And then we have nutrition classes on just healthy eating, how to prepare vegetarian soups. I did a class on just farmers market,
Nice.
vegetables. I love eating, and I'm mostly a plant-based eater. So just helping people incorporate healthy foods into their diet, which is such an important part of cancer care and treatment.
Sure. How about preventive stuff as well?
It is. So with nutrition, it's very important preventatively. When somebody comes into our center, they've already been given a cancer diagnosis. But again, we talk about, survivorship in nutrition. But for anybody else who has not been diagnosed with cancer, nutrition, we know that nutrition plays a big part in preventing many types of cancers. Not all, but many.
And screenings as well.
Oh, for sure.
And during the pandemic, everybody stopped. So I'm sure that you're getting many more people into your organization right now that have been diagnosed since the pandemic because everything shut down. Nobody went and had their mammograms or their colonoscopies. Though I think, are we down to 45 on the colonoscopy? I believe that insurance does cover anything over, though it should be 30 plus.
You know what? That's one thing I feel strongly about because we're seeing so many young people with colon rectal cancer. I feel that the age for colonoscopies does need to go down
further.
I don't know what the overall research is on that, but for sure. I mean, colonoscopies really are one of the best screenings that we have because, the whole point of a colonoscopy is seeing the polyps, which the polyps then turn into cancer. So if you can clear those out, it really is. I tell people that all the time. If you do nothing else, get your colonoscopy.
Yeah, or get the box. I know a lot of people that have a box delivered. It's like, okay, do what you have to do. I mean, if you don't want to have a day of reckoning, as I call it.
But one day of reckoning, can prevent years of treatment and angst. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Sarah, I mean, I've got to tell you that a dear friend of mine went into your organization just last week to get a wig. And your stylist, Patty
Myers.
She's
an angel on this earth. She really is.
And she went in there, and she was very apprehensive, like most women are, to get a wig. And she cut that wig. She styled her wig. She did everything. And this individual walked out, and I couldn't tell you how happy they were. And it took time for me. Because I was saying, you need to just go over to the Erie Cancer Wellness Center. We'll set something up for you. I'll help you out. And next thing you know, I am telling you, she is thrilled.
That makes me happy.
It does.
But our wig salon really was the focus of starting this. We knew we wanted to have the wig salon, and so we have a beautiful salon in the rear of our building because it can be an emotional space, as you can imagine.
Sure.
And we have over 300 wigs in stock. And so I think no matter who you are, you can come in, and find a wig. We have wigs for different hair textures, different skin tones. The average cost of a wig now is upwards of $250 for a decent wig. So people can come in, get a wig fit. And then our stylist, Patty, is just amazing.
Yes, she is.
And if I don't see somebody walk in, I cannot tell half the time that they have a wig on when they walk out.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you have any other locations?
No.
That we can.
We are right now. We're just south of 12th Street on Pittsburgh Avenue, right off the Bayfront.
I'm hoping to see you down Corey Way, Albion Way. That would be really nice to have another area.
I'm glad you said that because right now we just looked. We are seeing people from 37 zip codes in 10 counties.
Wow.
And people are coming in for all different reasons. And my long-term goal with this is to be able to take our services out to some of those rural areas. In Corey, at LECOM Corey, they treat medical oncology, but it's an hour drive. So, eventually Absolutely. I'd love to be able to take our services out to some of these communities.
Sarah Humphrey from the Erie Cancer Wellness Center. Sarah, I know that you'll get out into those areas because your team is fabulous. And can we do a shout out to all the incredible women on your team? They are
my
movers
gosh.
and shakers.
It's for sure. I always say it takes a village, and we have an amazing team. So Kristen Hubert is our marketing and communications coordinator. Kim Connolly is our program director who develops the calendars. And then Jackie Wassel is our development director. So we are a small but mighty team of
Oh,
4.
yes, you are.
And then we have some really wonderful dedicated volunteers like Patty, our wig stylist. So it's an amazing team. And, if you would like to know more, our website is eriecancerwellness.org. And we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to tell you, for just over a year in the nonprofit world for the Erie Cancer Wellness Center, you have done an amazing job.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. And I hope people will check us out and come and visit us. And we are here for whenever anybody may need us along their cancer journey.
Sure. How about a phone number, too?
814-651-0920.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we take?
Just to let anybody know that if they are interested in our services, they don't need an appointment. They can just pop in at any time. We're open every day from 9 to 5 and then a couple evenings a week. But we welcome people coming in for tours. We'll show them around,
Sure.
Talk to them about what services we offer. And
Sarah, I think it's most important to tell everybody that your services are free.
yes, they are. That's what I was just going to say. They are absolutely free of charge. It does not matter. Doesn't matter what type of insurance you have, where you're treated. None of that matters. You can just come in and take advantage of what we have to offer.
That's wonderful.
None of that matters. I love it. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I know so many people out there, and, we've all been touched by cancer. There are many cancer survivors that we're talking to right now. We've lost loved ones to cancer, but we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And we're so glad to have you in our community.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for having me. This was great.
I am so jazzed to reacquaint myself with this musical legend in the 814.
Yeah.
It's musician, vocalist, composer, Sam Hyman. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Can you believe it? I can't even believe it.
You have captivated audiences for decades with your unique style and soulful voice, and I see you found your way to the James Taylor tunes.
Yeah, that's a story. But yeah, so.
Well, I just need to go back with you right now because it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been.
So tell us about growing up in the 814, Sam, and how this whole music career started for you.
Well, I started off very young. I was born a child, and
Yeah.
down the street there was a lovely woman. I'm not really sure what her first name was, but she was Mrs. Fazy.
Ah.
And if there's any Mrs. Fazy students out there, I'm one of them. But music was always in the house. My mother was a
Sure.
singer and sang with big bands when she was younger. And, my older brothers, I'm the youngest of 4. And my older brothers were in bands, and there was always a drum set in the basement. In fact, I still have that drum set in my studio. My brother's band would practice in the basement, when I was a kid, and I would play plastic air guitar or plastic guitar, and sometimes just air guitar. So yeah, it was.
Tell me about your mom. What was Mom's name, Sam?
Alice Eleanor Holm, and then
She played with some big bands.
She did, just local big bands.
Because when I was in 6th grade and started with Sammy Rizzo, and he
Okay.
played in a lot of big bands. I am wondering if your mom
I'm
had
sure.
ever done anything with Sam Rizzo's band.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Dick Bulling and, Gene Leone and all those old-timey cats,
Sure.
And who's the one that the name's escaping me? Oh, shoot. Jimmy Minucci, the Minucci's.
There's another great name.
Yeah, those guys. They played a long time, and I'm sure that my mom sang with them. She never really talked about it much. I had to drag it out of her, But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that was kind of it, and then. One thing led to another. I met somebody that had an electric guitar, and he let me play it, and I was hooked. There was an organ in the basement, as I said, and I asked my parents if I could take organ lessons, and so I would walk
Is that
down.
what you started with, organ
Started
lessons?
on drums, actually, yeah. I'd come home from kindergarten. They had the 11 o'clock in the morning release for the
The
first,
half days.
the first
Love
grade,
those half days.
right? And so I was 4 when I started kindergarten, and I'd come home on the bus, and I put Beatle records on when I was 4 or 5 years old and played a Ringo. So Ringo taught me how to play drums.
Great.
And Mrs. Fazy taught me how to play the organ.
Where'd you go to high school, Sam?
High school went to intermediate McDowell. Grew up in Mill Creek.
Sure.
My family started a business in Girard years later, and so it was a motorcycle shop. We all raced motorcycles when we were kids and raced motocross. I raced my first race when I was 8 years old, and my 2 older brothers.
I would have never guessed that you were a motocross racer.
Yeah, my oldest brother worked for American Honda for 35, 40 years. And my next oldest brother was actually a professional motocross racer, and he worked, he was a national service manager for Husqvarna motorcycles back in the day. And anyway, so I graduated from Girard High School. And so
You were a yellow jacket.
I was.
My son was a yellow jacket
Is that
too.
right? I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
I'm out in the West County.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah. So, grew up in Mill Creek, moved to Girard, and then moved back to Erie. Molly and I, bought a house on 7th Street and lived there for years.
Speaking of Molly, when I called you on the phone to ask if you could come on the show,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
and we started talking, and you said, "Do you remember? Tell me about Vegas."
Well, we have Vegas, don't we?
We have Vegas to talk about.
Yeah. So about 2 weeks, I think, before Molly and I tied the knot, I was, we just, those were lean times.
Sure.
That was
I
quite a
know.
while ago,
Yeah.
a couple of weeks anyway. And about 3 weeks, I think 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks before we got married, you were on the radio, and we listened to you every day, and you were doing a radio contest. And Molly always had amazing luck with radio contests. She had this method. She would dial.
Speed dial. She was on speed dial, wasn't she, Sam?
Absolutely, she was. Whenever there was a contest or something that it caught her eye, her ear. So you were on giving away tickets to Vegas. It was
Airfare.
It was airfare, right, and hotel stay, and I think you even had like some gambling money in there for us.
That's
or something.
fantastic.
So Molly won our honeymoon trip to Vegas, and you
And you told me that, and you're like, "Do you remember?" I'm like, "I think I do. I recall that was a couple weeks before the two of you got hitched."
Yeah.
How many years you been married to Molly now?
Oh my gosh, come on, come on. She's usually the one that forgets this. Hang on. Hold on, I'm getting there.
It's well over 30, right?
19. Yes, 35 years.
35 years.
Yeah.
Molly's doing well.
She's doing great.
Molly's in the band.
She is. She's a background singer in Steamroller. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep, and she, is emotional and mental support for me, as she has been for,
Many,
over
many years.
35 years, yeah.
So speaking of that, what was one of your first bands then, Sam? I mean, I look back, I can remember you being in the studio many, many times with many different bands.
Yeah, I haven't been in as many bands as some of my bandmates have.
I know.
Man, a lot of those guys I played with, have done, hundreds of bands. I think my first real band was called Blue Plate Special, and it was with Skip Niebauer. And Skip's a legend, a local legend also. If he's listening, hi Skip. And we changed the name. He had a real successful band in the 60s called the RK4. So I talked him into around 1984 or 5. I talked him into, let's change the name, Blue Plate Special. I don't know. Let's change the name to the RK4 Revival. and let's do some RK4 songs. And I talked him into it, and we did that for quite a few years. And then there was the Blues Beaters. Actually, before the Blues Beaters, there was the Dogs. I think that was the first time
I was going to say, you were a regular at Norb's, weren't you?
That was Norb's. The Norb's Dogs thing was before my time. I joined the band in 1987.
Okay.
And they had already been together for 10 years. So they all met at, I think, at Edinburgh University. And Tom Weber and Jack Bernard and Bruce Lentz was the lead singer. Billy Nicholas was the bass player, later replaced by Bruce Hunt. And then I joined in 1987 when Whitey McCleary joined.
Whitey.
Yeah, the sax player, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin was in the RK4 with me and Skip also, so we kind of defected and moved to the Dogs at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what's been going on the last 10 years? Help me out, because I've been away, so now I'm back, and I don't know what you've been up to.
Well,
what you were up to at that time.
Yeah, so I spent 13 years at Gannon University. I was hired as the tech in the campus center. You know, being in all those bands for so many years, you kind of learn how to do sound systems and tech stuff. So that brought me to Gannon, and loved being there. I was a contractor there for about 15 years, and then they hired me full-time, and I was there. And by the time I left, I had resigned right when, at the height of COVID. I was the director of the campus center there for a couple of years. And so is now you're just doing music full time. Yeah, so
you're doing your own thing.
Yep, all that time I was building a publishing business. I do music publishing, just self-published stuff, and I'd worked for a publisher in England, Graham McLean, wonderful guy at North Star Music in the UK, taught me about publishing, taught me how to write for publishing, and it was quite an experience. So I just continued to grow that. And play. I was playing, 3, 4, 5 nights a week, regionally here and in the city, and all the while I was working at Gannon, and they were gracious enough to let me go do that. Of course, I never had a day off, so that's okay.
I get that feeling, Sam.
Yeah, and then I was coerced by a bandmate, the infamous Antoine Jack from the Blues Beaters. He spent a lot of time talking me into doing a James Taylor tribute. And this was back in the days when there weren't tribute bands. I mean, there was Beatlemania and maybe an Eagles band here or there, or some.
They're huge now.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you'd have told me, 30 years ago that tribute bands would be a thing, I would have told you, I don't think so. But I did some James Taylor songs when I played my solo gigs, in restaurants and clubs. And so he said, you should do a James Taylor tribute. For years, he told me that. And I just said, no, that's nuts. Are you kidding me? There's nothing more lame than being in a tribute act. I told him,
Mm-hmm.
And then, he kind of talked me into it. So I thought, well, the heck with it. Amanda Post was doing Always Patsy Cline. And,
yes.
Packing the Warner out every Christmas, and I thought, maybe there's something here. So we did a couple of shows locally, and just as a joke, because I didn't think anybody would come to see me sing James Taylor songs, I called it a little riff on Amanda's show. I called it Almost JT. So we did a couple shows, and they did real well, and then somehow this company in New York caught wind of it, a company called Blue Raven Entertainment, and they introduced themselves and said, we handle 20 or so tribute acts, and we don't have a James Taylor act. Would you consider doing that? And that was in spring of 2019.
Let's listen to this tribute band that you have going.
Okay.
This is Country Road.
All right.
To the highway, won't you lend me your name? highway seem to be one and the same. Mama don't understand it. She wants to know where I've been. I have to be some kind of natural born fool. I wanna pass that way again, but you know I can feel it on a country road. Sail on home to Jesus, won't you, good girls and boys? I'm all in pieces, but you can have your own choice. And I can see a heavenly band full of angels, and they're coming to set me free. I don't know nothing about the why or when, but I can tell you that it's bound to be, 'cause you know I could feel it, child, yeah, on a country road. I guess my feet know where they want me to go, walking down a country road, yeah. Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same, child. Mama don't understand it. She wants to know where I've been. I'd have to be some kind of natural born fool. I wanna pass that way again, but I can feel it, Lord, on a country road. Walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down a country road. La 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 la.
Sam.
Wow.
Wow.
Was that us?
That is you.
That sounds
Sam
pretty good.
Hyman on the show, coming to the Warner October 26th, Thursday evening, 7 o'clock with his band called Steamroller. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Let's go back to, so you get this phone call. They like what you're doing.
Yep, and they said, we handle a bunch of tribute acts, and we don't have a James Taylor act, so would you consider, being our James Taylor tribute act? And we talked a few times on the phone and hit it off. And so, now they have me all over the country playing little theaters, and it's just a hoot and a half. I'm just having a blast.
Speaking of who you're having a blast with,
Yeah.
I know Molly's background vocals.
Yep.
I think I saw Dave Blates in there. Give me a rundown on the bandmates.
So David Blates is a fantastic musician, has played with everybody and continues to play with everybody, and for good reason. He's just a master on the bass. And I asked him one time. I played 3 nights a week at the Bel Air Hotel years ago. I sort of stepped into Marty O'Connor's old gig years ago when he had left, and I got up my nerve to go talk to David, because he was like a god to me, and I'm like
To all musicians,
This guy's probably not gonna even want to be breathing the same air as me or talk to me, much less play music with me. But I asked him, I said, how would you feel about coming and sitting in with me at the Bel Air one night? And he said, yeah, let's do that. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I thought, come on, really? What do you think you think I'm good or something?
Bravo.
So anyway, so he suffered through all my mistakes, and we developed a kind of a relationship, and so we played a lot together for years before any of this happened. So of course, when this happened, I thought, got to get David, you know, and a friend of mine, Otis, Otis James, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my dear old friend Otis had hooked up a pickup gig one night. He said, "Hey, let's come down to Warren and we'll play at the Draft House." And I said, "All right, cool," which we had done before as a duo a couple times. And I said, "Let's put a band together and do it." And he said, "Wow, we're not going to rehearse." I said, "Who cares? The gig will be a rehearsal." And so he was playing with Duke Sherman at the time, and I was filling in on drums for Duke's drummer, the great Rick Cass. And so we got Mark Murphy to come play bass, and Jim said, "There's this drummer down here in Warren that's just pretty good, and we could get him. I'll ask him." And so turned out to be Jim Sturdivant. Who is in so many different bands. But,
Yes.
he's in a band called the Electric Kings, and they did a record that my kids and I listened to. It became our Christmas favorite a couple of years ago. We just listened to it over and over and over again. It's just a great record. But something clicked between Jim and I, and Jim and me, I should say. And I asked him if he'd want to play some gigs. And this was long before the James Taylor tribute show. So again, when it happened, I thought, okay, it's just going to be me, David, and Jim. We'll do a trio, and that'll be the end of it. So the company then, and they booked us all over the place. And the company said, we could probably book you in larger places if you put a larger band together.
Ooh.
So
nice.
We moved in that direction and put a larger band together, and then COVID happened. And the other thing that had happened right before then is that I saw it was becoming really difficult for me to do my full-time job at Gannon and do the show at the same time. And I thought, if I'm ever going to pursue my dream here, this is the time to do it. So I had a meeting with Keith Taylor, the president back then, and told him what I wanted to do, and he was very supportive. And man, I gave them over 6 months, notice, and it was Gannon became my family, so sure. I didn't want to just leave, So anyway, love those people, and so we just went on the road and started playing, and then COVID happened, and just knocked the stuffing out of everything. So we kind of had to regroup a little bit and just pull back a little, and then we just started to come out of COVID hiding a little bit over the past year or so, a year and a half, and put the larger band back together. And so it's Chris and Julie Moore from Tennessee Back Porch.
They're the best.
Yeah, Chris is playing keys and singing background and helping me with arrangements and stuff. Chris and I have worked together on all kinds of stuff for years. He's like, more my brother than anybody else, except for my brother, if he's listening. And then Julie's playing violin and background vocals with Molly, and so David, Jim, Chris, and Julie. Tom O'Cam from Tennessee Back Porch is playing lead guitar. He's the guy that played guitar on that song. And we just added a percussionist, the great Doc Werner.
I see Doc's back in and doing a lot of really great things here in the 814. I'm so glad you got Doc.
So it's very strange, my meeting Doc. He was, so we play a lot of shows in Florida. Mm-hmm. And when I'm in Florida, we often, there isn't money in the budget sometimes to fly everybody down. So we end up playing with ringers from time to time. And there's a couple of guys that we play with in Florida. One is a bass player named Dave Lowry, and the other fella is Kenny Anderson, plays saxophone with us. And they asked me at one point if I knew this guy that they thought was from Erie named Doc Werner. And I'm like, no, I don't know who that guy is. Never met him.
Really?
Right. Had no idea what they were talking about. And he told me what a fantastic percussionist he was, and they'd played with him for years, and at the same time, well, it was shortly after that, a few weeks after that, Doc hit me up on
Facebook.
Yeah, messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm Doc, and I'm wondering how do you know David Blates?" So he knew David and saw me playing in Florida with Kenny and Dave Lowry. And so he said, how do you know these guys? So I told him the story. So we started a friendship. And then I thought, we could really use a percussionist. That's really kind of important in this kind of music. And I think it would make the show a lot better and bigger and the music better. And so I asked him if he'd consider doing it. And he thought about it for about 10 minutes and said, yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
So you're listening to Doc also on that track.
Yes, and we're going to play another track too.
Oh, cool.
Because this is probably one of my top 3 favorite James Taylor tunes, and it's Carolina on my mind.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Karen, she's a silver sun. You best walk her away and watch it shining. Watch her watch the morning come. A silver tear appearing now. I'm crying, ain't I? I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. There ain't no doubt in no one's mind that love's the finest thing around. Whisper something soft and kind. Hey babe, the sky's on fire. I'm dying, ain't I? I've gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Dark and silent late last night, I think I might have heard the highway calling. Geese in flight, dogs that bite. And signs that might be omens say I'm going. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. With a holy host of others standing around me, still I'm on the dark side of the moon. And it seems like it goes on like this forever. You must forgive me if I'm up and gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? And ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. And I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Well, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Yes, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone. Say nice things about me, 'cause I'm gone, so I'm gone. Have to carry on without me. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind.
That's some good picking.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you.
And great singing, Sam. I mean, I'm delighted to have you here today. It's been a long time. I mean,
Well, I'm so happy to be here, and it's great to see you again. And I was trying to this morning when I was kind of thinking about this, I was wondering when was the first time we were on the air together? I mean, it's
been years,
ages. Yeah.
ages, long time.
Not that we're that old. We're just
Not at
We're
all.
just barely in our 20s. For God's sakes, already.
So, this show with Steamroller, and of course, you're all local. I call you local kids because
Yeah.
I really think music keeps us young.
No question. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so we need to fill up the Warner Theater with all these wonderful people
Yeah, I'm
and get
I'm
to
there.
see all these wonderful bandmates of yours. I mean, I cannot wait to say hello to Dave Blates. There's just, it really is. And Doc Warner.
Yeah. And he's the newest in the group for me. I mean, I just met him within the last year or so.
Have you played on the Warner stage?
I have.
Tell me more.
A few times. The first couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times, was with the RK4.
Okay.
Skip Niebauer, the great Skip Niebauer from Erie, PA, was friends with Sandra Little. And
From the dance studio.
yeah, right. And Sandra's mom, Catherine, had the dance studio forever, and so we played their spring, whatever they call it, when the recitals. They're at the Warner, and so those were fun. Interesting, and learning the songs that all these kids were dancing to was interesting, and they were.
I can't imagine.
They were.
I can't imagine.
They were dancing in the studio to recordings of this stuff, so we had to learn the recordings at the right tempos and the right keys and everything, and so then go play them.
Tempo, very important for the dancers, Sam.
That's for sure. You don't want to play something in 3/4 that was
For sure.
written in 4/4. So there was that, and then we did a thing called Late Night Without David Letterman.
I
Years
heard
ago.
about that.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
a local promoter who shall remain nameless because we all got stiffed.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Imagine a promoter stiffing you. So there was that. And then Lee Wilkins, my old
okay.
buddy who was the concertmaster for a few years in the Erie Philharmonic, was also my string professor at Donville School of Music where I went to school and studied with the great Albert Glinsky. He asked me to come and sing for New Year's Eve one year and learned a Jim Croce tune. I can't remember. Time in a Bottle, I think it was.
There you go.
And we did 3 shows, and I was playing at the Erie Art Museum at the same time, so I'd have to take a break and run up the street. Actually, I'm sorry, it was First Night Erie is what it was. So New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So I'd run up the street and go jump into the Warner and sing, and then go back to the...
Well, tell folks where they can get their tickets. I mean, they can go right online and get tickets to the show for the 26th of October.
Yep, they can go right to erieevents.com. And if you have trouble finding the show, you can do a search for Steamroller, and then there's a buy now link, and you can do it right online, or you can call the box office at 453 something in or other. I can't remember.
That's all right. Everybody can Google that up for sure, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on, Sam. I
Thanks
appreciate
for having
you.
me. It's great to see you.
And it's great to see you too. And I'd love to end the show with a quote. And here's one from James Taylor. He said, "Time will take your money, but money won't buy time."
Well, that's for sure.
So keep it here, folks. We got the Polka Show with Bob and Alice coming up next on LECOM Radio. And
I
Sam,
think I'm going to stick around for that. I love that polka stuff. That's great.
Me too. Everybody have a great week in the 814.
You've been tuned in to Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, sponsored by Erie Insurance on 88.5 and 102.7 LECOM Radio.